30 years after Patrick Waugh quit on the Montreal Canadiens, this version of the Habs decided to do some quiet quitting of their own.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day, for subscribing wherever you get your podcast, and for making us here at Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. I do, even on nights like tonight, I do enjoy saying that. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as @MaybeIt'sIan, and I am joined by Laura Saba, also known as the Active Stick. Laura, the floor is yours. How are you feeling?
I think the Habs gave me a nosebleed.
Yeah, me too.
No, legitimately, I think they did that.
You get a rage. I've gotten a rage nosebleed before. I got so angry. I was like 11 from Stranger Things, and my nose just started to bleed, but without any of the telekinetic powers that I wish would have come along with that.
Right, because if we had something like that, then we could send a note to the Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center saying.
That's what you would have done. I would have made Brady Tkachuk's pants fall down 100 times in the middle of that game. This is why we are a defensive partner here. We complement each other because you went the adult route and I went the nana and a boo boo. I don't really like you mode. All right, look, we got to talk about that game. It stunk. I'm very upset and emotional about the effort or lack thereof that we saw from this team. We got to talk about Sam Montembeault again, who just continues to struggle, but it's not all on him. A lot of it is, but the defense in front of him has been awful for a long time, and we need to figure out why that is. All right, let's start with the game.
Yeah,
let's try to leave Montembeault out of the conversation because I think that's worthy of its own section of thought. I joked off the top that they quit. And I don't really know necessarily how much of a joke that is. I legitimately feel like they just phoned it in midway through the second period. They decided it was over.
I don't understand why, though, because personally for me, that game was winnable. It was 100.
Yeah.
It was 100% winnable, even with Sam Montembeault letting that goal almost immediately after the Canadiens scored. Linus Ullmark was not looking great.
He's looking hurt.
He looks like he's playing through something, and it could be that he got hurt on, I think it was a Zach Balduc shot, or maybe he got hurt earlier, right? Yeah. He looked extremely beatable. He had one extremely amazing highlight reel save towards the end of the game, but other than that, he was fighting the puck. The rebounds he was giving were juicy, and the Montreal Canadiens, at the time that the third period started, they were down 4-2, and I 100% felt that if they just were able to go to the net, put in some effort, just, put some pressure on the Ottawa Senators, I honestly, truly felt that they were going to be able to come back. And instead, they chose not to. It felt like a choice, and that's the part I'm not understanding, because we haven't seen this version of the Montreal Canadiens. And for me, like last year, they played through a lot of difficulties and what we're going to call adversity. I don't know necessarily how much they sucked for 2 months could be considered adversity. They didn't, this is a version of them I have not seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I think it's the first time in this era that I can say that we didn't get their best effort in this one. And that the play to me that is going to stick with me for a while was the play that the Sens scored their 5th goal on. And Brendan Gallagher is going behind the Ottawa Senators net. He gets tripped. It's right in front of the referee. The referees had a bad night. They always do. They're not very good at their jobs. I don't know how else we can say that. It's not really worth mentioning other than they stink, and they stink every night. And guess what? The Canadiens win some of those games, right? Like they're always bad. He gets tripped. And he looks up at the referee and doesn't get a call. And instead of getting back in the play and back checking, Brendan Gallagher decides, I'm done. I'm done on this shift. I'm taking it out on the Senators. I'm taking a penalty. I have decided that the hockey portion of my shift is over. And the Senators scored a goal. I am tired of the veterans on this team doing that because it's not an isolated incident. Josh Anderson has done it a few times. You wear a letter on this team, Brendan Gallagher. You wear a letter for this team. You're supposed to be a leader on this team, a veteran on this team. It's not the first time in Brendan Gallagher's career he's not drawn a penalty when he should have. Like, I have absolutely
he never
no
gets the
time.
benefit of the doubt. He never does. He should be used to it.
Exactly. He should be used to it. It's the same argument when people are like, oh, Lane Hutson's too small. Been small his whole life. Hasn't mattered yet. Brendan Gallagher's always been, he's never gotten the benefit of the doubt from officiating, ever, in his entire career. And it's never led him to a moment like that. I understand that the officiating's bad. I don't want this to come off as an out for the officiating, which I absolutely despise. It's bad because the NHL chooses for it to be bad. But some team wins all of these games. The Ottawa Senators in this game ended up on Money Puck with an 82.8% chance to win this game. That wasn't all officiating, guys. I'm so disappointed in Brendan Gallagher quitting on that play and effectively quitting on his team on that shift. He decided I'm going to be selfish. I'm not going to help defend. I'm deciding this is over and it's score settling time, which I cannot stand. I cannot stand that, because guess what? This was the last game of the year against Ottawa in your own barn. The rest of them are in Ottawa. You have to figure out how to win there now. And Montreal, at this point, has lost more games on home ice than they have won. They're now 6-6-1 on home ice. So I thought that was unfortunately emblematic of the way the Canadiens played in this game. I thought, like, from the second period on, they just didn't have it. There wasn't a single line that had it. Juraj Slafkovsky had it. If we want a small bright spot from this game, it was that Juraj Slafkovsky is absolutely feeling it right now. Even take the goal away from it. The goal was great, but take the goal out of it. I thought he was fantastic. He was trying everything he could to be an impact player on this team, and it just didn't matter. Marty was playing the brakes off of him at the end. He was like triple shifted by the end of that game. I think that's a good sign for him. I am a little worried that they're going to have to play again tomorrow. Maybe they all play guilty and they have a better effort. But I feel like I've rambled a bit here, Laura. What are your final thoughts on this game before we dive in a little bit more into Montembeault and the defense specifically?
I don't know if it is Montembeault causing it. I felt that there were some instances. So I wouldn't say that the entire team quit. I would say that it was more of a general team mentality tonight. There were some instances where they were making boneheaded plays, like Jake Evans taking a penalty, for example, that kind of thing. And then there were some bright spots. I think the Xhekais both sandwiching Brady Tkachuk, that was really funny. And I think that there were some instances, like with Noah Dobson and Mike Matheson, I don't think they had quit. I think that they were making some errors in judgment, right? There's definitely a lot of players on the ice that I would say were still playing. They were just not making the right decisions. And I would say Lane Hudson, kind of the same thing too. Like, I don't think Lane Hudson has the ability. Ivan Demidov, he wasn't able to get anything going, but those guys I still felt were trying, right? I think for me, the thing that really bothers me is the more experienced players were either playing poorly or just not playing at all, or not trying at all. That's what bothers me, because I feel like this is a team where we've praised the culture. We've talked a lot about the leadership in that room. I don't know what happened tonight. There was no leadership. There was an absence of leadership. And I really, for me, that's a terrible sign. If it's a one-off and I don't know, they're tired, something's wrong, they don't have confidence in their goaltender and that's shaking them, that's one thing entirely. But if this is the way it's going to go, everything that the Montreal Canadiens have been working throughout this rebuild to build, they can't just turn it off in one night. Because for me, this is we've seen this movie before. It's called The Vancouver Canucks, right? We've seen this movie before. It's called The New York Rangers.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
I tend to not, at this stage in the rebuild, try to put too much future emphasis on any one loss, because yes, it's frustrating. They're going through a tough time. They're also incredibly injured. We have to keep reminding ourselves that these guys are banged up, and that's just the guys that we know of. It wouldn't surprise me if they're all dealing with something right now. But I have a really hard time seeing how they dig themselves out of this if it's they're tired. I don't know if you've seen the schedule for December. If you're tired, we're cooked. That's the thing, is I don't believe that's true. I don't think this was fatigue. You know who should have been fatigued? The Ottawa Senators, playing their 7th game on the road of their road trip. They should have been fatigued. They didn't look fatigued. They looked great. The Ottawa Senators had played a fantastic hockey game from start to finish. And the Montreal Canadiens should be really disappointed in the way that they showed up in this one. All right. We'll leave our general thoughts on the game there. When we come back, it's Sam Montembeault o'clock again. We have to have this conversation again, and we will continue to have this conversation until we can just get a dang save. And we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands, using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I like using Drip Drop as part of my daily routine, mostly that sort of mid-afternoon feeling at work where I need a little bit of a pick-me-up. It tastes great, so that's always nice, but it's always nice to keep the hydration going. Sometimes I forget to drink water. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just better overall. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. This episode is also brought to you by Doer. I'm so excited about the new clothes I got from Doer. I've been reaching for my new Doer jeans for everything. They're so comfortable I can wear them around the house, but they also double as casual attire or for work when I go into the office. Doer jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. You've worn those jeans that just don't have any give to them. Doer jeans are super stretchy and they maximize comfort that way. And they're made with Cool Max that helps regulate your body temperature and wicks moisture. I run hot, so Doer allows me to wear the jeans I love while keeping cool. Doer are pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim, and once you've worn a pair, you won't be able to go back to the other stuff. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to, just like they are for me. Get a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Go now to doer.ca/lockedoncanadians and you'll get 15% off your first order. That's DUER.ca/lockedoncanadians for 15% off. Doer.ca/lockedoncanadians. All right, we are back. We're back here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, thanks to listeners like you. So thank you for making us your first listen of the day, for subscribing wherever you get your shows. We love you guys. We love you, especially if you're tuning in after a game like that. I find that the way I open the show, and it's just the history of things, this game falling on the 30th anniversary of Patrick Waugh and his I guess flame out against the Detroit Red Wings on home ice, it's fitting because the Canadiens' goaltending woes are continuing. Sam Montembeault, the Canadiens gave Sam Montembeault a lead early in this game. They scored on the power play after a little over 3 minutes into the game. And Sam Montembeault rewarded them by 24 seconds later giving up a shot that, according to Money Puck, had a 3% chance of being a goal. And I just think that is so emblematic of where this team is, because the second that goal went in, I went, I think it's done. Because the building went quiet, the team went flat. They got a power play early and scored on it on home. They have one of the worst home power plays in the league, and they finally give you something to work with, and you immediately give one up. I don't know what to do with this goalie anymore, Laura, and it's not like Dobish is playing the lights out right now either. I don't know that I'm hitting the panic button on goaltending yet, but I'm lifting the little plastic glass cover that's, unlike Deal or No Deal, when they have like the thing that goes over the box that goes over the button. I'm lifting it and my hand is hovering over the button.
In my nightmares, I see Samuel Montembeault getting waived, getting claimed by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then having an incredible season and winning the cup.
I don't think they're waiving him. He's not
They
even
will
worth
not be waiving him. They will not be waiving him. But if they do, somebody will get him and he will magically figure it out. And I think I do not know what is wrong. I think that he has had enough average to good seasons that this is an anomaly.
I'm I'm legitimately starting to worry if that's true. I'm legitimately starting to worry if last year was the anomaly. If last year, good Sam Montembeault was the one that we shouldn't get used to.
But we had average before that, and this is not average.
I guess. But like, if he was average, I don't know how much better we feel about it. That's the problem. The problem with Sam Montembeault is not only the goals he gives up, but when he gives them up. That one on Tuesday night against Ottawa was a killer. It was a killer because the building, the roof could have caved in on the Bell Center should the Canadiens immediately come back and score another goal. And they never got that chance to go up 2-0 in this game because Sam Montembeault just gifted them one. There was another goal later on. I believe it was the 4-2 goal. Or the 4-1 goal, I think. It was, it's a low shot from Tyler Clevin that hits Sam Montembeault in the stick and pads, and it's sitting in front of him, and he doesn't cover it. He's just watching it. He's just sitting there watching it, and it was a low shot from distance that he just had no desire to squeeze. I'm not a goalie expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it just seems like he is so dependent on his positioning being right, and right now it's not right, where he's so dependent on it because it seems like he is absolutely requiring every puck to hit him in the chest. Otherwise, he has no chance of stopping it. The first goal against was blocker side. I know it's a one-timer where they're moving east-west. That pass wasn't a bullet pass. It took a while to get there. Sam Montembeault had time to get to his spot and square up, and he just whiffed on it. You watch how he moves his blocker at it. It's like he just didn't want to hurt his blocker. I don't understand how that happens. And his positioning has been horrible. So if he's relying on his positioning and for pucks to just hit him instead of making saves, he's never going to get there if his positioning's terrible. So the whole thing just seems like he's completely lost.
I don't understand if he's just not able to track it or he doesn't have reflexes. Like something is going on. It's like you like slowed him down, right? It's like you're playing him at half speed or a quarter of the speed. I just find that he seems to be scared of the puck. Like truly, that's what it feels like. It looks like he's afraid of the puck. He's like dropping it immediately. You know, the rebounds he's giving up, it's as if he's just saying, get the puck away from me, right? Yeah. And I don't understand. And so again, we have such a packed schedule, but we do have a goalie expert we want to bring in to talk to about this kind of thing. Because for me, it feels like it shouldn't be, the drop-off shouldn't be this bad. You know what I'm saying? Like Samuel Montembeault, this is not his first year on the team. It's not even his second year on the team. We have enough body of work to know that he can be competent. The problem is that throughout this entire season, he has looked abjectly incompetent. It looks like he doesn't know how to goalie anymore. And at the beginning of this season, there was talk of him being the third string for Team Canada at the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, he won a gold medal at the Four Nations. Like you know, and a lot of people go, "Oh, it's a bad year for Canadian goaltending." Yeah, but he was still there. Like you can't take that away from him. But he's like, is he even going to get invited to Worlds? I don't even know if that's the case at this point.
No,
I there are probably 6 other Canadian goalies who you're hoping miss the playoffs so that he doesn't have to go. I think maybe one of the things that's happening is Montembeault has always, even when he was playing well, has always struggled with the shot from deep. What traffic or no traffic, I don't know if he has an astigmatism and the puck that he just can't see what's happening, which is a legitimate thing. I'm reminded of a Washington Nationals player, Wilson Ramos, who had like an eye thing that he just never had worked on. And then he finally had it figured out, and he had his the best season of his career immediately after figuring that out.
Can we have Sam Montembeault call him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think Wilson Ramos mostly speaks Spanish, so I don't know that too much will happen in those conversations, but we can give it a shot.
Yeah, no, we can have an interpreter. Hey, listen, it's getting desperate at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe what's happening is the Canadiens are, and we'll talk about it in the third segment because right now is not totally the case, but I think generally this season they've been better defensively than they have been at parts during the rest of this rebuild. And now more shots are being forced from the perimeter, which is exposing Sam Montembeault's Achilles heel, which is he can't stop the puck from deep. I joked about it at the beginning of the season. I don't know why any team would work hard to get the puck closer to the net against Sam Montembeault. Save the sweat. Just throw it in from the blue line. It'll probably go in. Like it's unfortunate. They said on the TSN broadcast during the game that he has the lowest perimeter save percentage in the National Hockey League. That's just not giving your team a chance to win on any given night.
That's something that's also terrifying to hear.
Yeah, of course, because it's like, and I think the number was something like 929, and I was like, hey, all right, like a save percentage that starts with 9 and it's the worst in the league. Like, I'm just sort of wondering what that stat is like, but I'm sure there's goalies who have given up like one perimeter goal all season, and Sam's probably given up, I don't know, 15, 20. It's not good. I don't know. We'll probably talk more about this. We're hoping Jakub Dobeš, as you're listening to this today, is able to put some pressure back on the Canadiens to make him the starter. But until then, we are in full-blown goalie controversy at this point because we don't even have a goalie at this point. All right, we'll leave that there. When we come back, we'll talk about the guys in front of the goalie, the defenders, who are also struggling in their own right. And we'll figure out what's going on there when we come back on Locked On Canadiens. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, you're in on it. Live betting is best when the games start to shift. The receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment right then and there. The live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. And you can bet next touchdown scorers, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. Up next on Thursday Night Football, the Lions are slight favorites at home versus the Dallas Cowboys at minus 156. That seems low. So if you want to get in on the fight and you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, we are back here on Locked On Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. I'm saying a lot today because I want to cheer myself up after what we just had to sit through and hope that we can still say number one for a while. So thank you.
I was about to unmute myself and I almost hit end recording. And then in my head, I just thought, oh, I'm the Habs.
Yeah, you just quit. You quit right after the second. I think that's perfectly reasonable. We're going to lock it. We're going to shut it down for the day. Thanks. No, we're not. We have another segment. I wanted to talk about the defense because it seems like, especially in this game against Ottawa, but even in the games that they played well on their road trip, they're allowing a lot of pucks to get to the dangerous areas on the ice. I think of the Tkachuk goal and the goal Tkachuk set up to Artem Zub, the guy that they were just able to get the puck to the middle of the ice. No one stopped him. I mean, as bad as Sam Montembeault's been, you can't blame him on those goals. I did find one thing funny, which was, Laura, who was the best defensive pairing against the Ottawa Senators on Tuesday by expected goals?
Is it going to be like Arbor Xhekaj and Alex Carrier?
It's not going to be like them. It is them. They were the best. They were the best. I believe, were not on the ice for a goal against. Yeah, they had a normal night of a third pairing, and Arbor Xhekaj, mostly controlled himself. He got a phantom penalty.
Yes,
Dylan Cousins, that I saw some people trying to rationalize, and I'm like, he doesn't do anything. And then in that same game, you let Brady Tkachuk take Jaden Strubal's stick away as he's trying to defend an odd man rush, and then you let him sit on Nick Suzuki. I don't. The officiating's bad. The officiating's bad. Tattooed on my forehead. I don't really need to be bringing that up all the time. But what's happening here, Laura? I know we're not. It's a lot of X's and O's to get into while that sort of loss is still fresh. But like, what are you seeing that's allowing teams to just get to the home plate against the Canadiens?
I think they're not doing a good job of anticipating the play. And when I say that, it means like I find that when they do clear the puck, they're a little bit behind. I find that when they're trying to defend, they end up passing to the opponent. Like, I feel like they're just not seeing the ice properly. They're not seeing. I feel like they think everyone sucks and that they're just going to be able to get through it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think that that's entirely reasonable. And you look at a lot of the goals that they've given up in these kinds of situations, the guys that they're giving them up to very much don't suck.
Yeah.
Like, I think of the Logan Cooley play off the boards where he got it right to the middle of the ice. Brady Tkachuk twice in this game. You know, like I wonder how much of it's that. I also wonder how much of it is they're losing a lot of battles on the boards
Mm-hmm.
and the puck is finding its way to the middle of the ice from that point. Like, you know, I think of the one in Utah that I know a lot of people blamed Alex Carrier for. And I think Alex Carrier was more so a victim of one, a great play from Logan Cooley in that one, but also timing. The timing was off more than anything. I like the idea of trying to create an odd man situation down low. Put two guys on one guy. Odds are one of you is going to come away with the puck. If you don't, you're in trouble. And that's sort of where you need to be able to rely on those guys to win that battle down low. It's why, you know, it's why Lane Hudson being small is on the back of people's minds when they think of defense, but he does that in a different way. He anticipates the contact and oftentimes uses a player's, you know, a forechecker's momentum against him
Yes.
when
He bounces off.
he bounces off or he does the Olay and lets him go right by and I'm just going to lift your stick and I'll be on my way. You know, like there's more than one way of doing that effectively. I think this is the area where they miss Caden Gooley the most. I do. I think that, you know, he's a guy who would excel in those situations. And, you know, Jaden Struble is big and tough and strong. I don't know necessarily that he's helping in that respect. Arbor Xhekaj is big and tough and strong. Generally speaking, I don't know if he's helping in that respect, although much better against Ottawa, admittedly.
Honestly, both Jack guys were good tonight. You can't
Yeah,
fault them. It's just that they're not players you play very much, right? They're not
right. I was going to
players
say
that are
I
the
don't remember
pivots of the
seeing
team.
Florian much.
Nope. When I did see
Yeah.
him, he was not doing anything wrong, which
No.
is a very, very low bar, but he cleared it. Given the Montreal Canadiens right now, I do want to say though that I feel like the problem that I'm having right now is that they're not changing anything, right? They're not compensating for the poor goaltending. They're not able to mask it. And I feel like good teams are able to mask it. They're not always going to win, but they're able to camouflage it a little bit, especially against teams like Ottawa. Teams like Ottawa on a road trip where they lost 3 in a row, you know, that's somewhere where I think the Montreal Canadiens should be able to, if they're truly a good team, they should be able to overcome whatever's going on with the goalies. They're not going to win every game, and they are going to have those games like they did against Colorado because, again, if they're, you know, teams like Dallas, teams like Colorado, they're truly legitimate contenders. But a mediocre team, a team that you're kind of neck and neck with in the standings, a team that might be worse than you, which is going to be a couple of the teams we see this week.
Yep.
You should be able to
All of them.
mask the bad goaltending, and I'm
No.
not seeing that. And
Yeah. Look,
that's making me angry about this defense.
yeah, I think I go back to something. I think it was Marty who said this a while ago. The point of defending is to stop defending. Right? The point of defending is to be good enough at getting the puck away from your opponent that you're able to go the other way. And right now, the Canadians are not good enough at doing that. They're not good enough at doing that at 5-on-5. They kind of let teams hang around and cycle the puck, and they don't have the killer instinct. That's a term we've used on this show for a while now, and that they need to find it. I think Slav is well on his way to finding it. I think guys like Suzuki and Caulfield have it in different ways, right? Bolduc is a guy who needs to find that killer instinct. I think Xhekaj has it in some sense, but not in like the hockey sense, in like the I'm going to beat the crap out of this guy way, which is
Yeah.
not unhelpful, but it's not helpful in this kind of conversation.
I think there are moments for it, and this was not the moment for it, right? I
Yeah.
think that it's very well placed sometimes, and you know he has been better at controlling that. I think one thing that I do want to say about Yuri Slavkovsky is that I think my favorite players are the players who hate the teams I hate as much as I hate them. So
Yeah.
Yuri Slavkovsky hates the Senators. I freaking love that guy. Arbor Xhekaj hates the Senators. I freaking love that guy.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. I feel like an appreciation. But when I say that, I mean it's when those are the players that get up to play against those teams, and we see the best of them in these games. So I want to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I do too. Look, I think, you know, I think when this team is in their competitive window, we'll look back on games like this as learning opportunities for them. But I'm kind of at a point where the same things are burning this team. The only thing that's really been turned around over the last 2 weeks is their power play, which is suddenly really good. I that's what's frustrating. The goaltending still stinks, the defense stinks, and now their power play is finally scoring. That's really the only difference there. All right, let's do our trivia and then head out of here because we have another game tomorrow. So we should get ready for that.
I do need to say something though. There was a person that we failed to acknowledge on our Friday's trivia. Like Ben got it right, but Ben sent us the email after we had already recorded the Sunday episode. So I did want to belatedly give Ben the props for getting the Friday question correct.
Yes, as our answer had not gone live yet, we will count that. So if you're keeping imaginary points, Ben, you collected that point. So congratulations for that. All right. Today's question, or should I say the one from yesterday, now that we've had the first Habs goal against the 2.0 Sens, who was in the first Habs Sens fight when the Sens returned to the National Hockey League? Laura, do you have a guess here of who was in this one?
I just hope the Hab killed the Sen.
I don't know that I found a video of it, and Hockey Fights doesn't go back that far, the website. So it was for Ottawa, Mike Peluso, and for Montreal, Lyle Odeline.
Okay, I'm going to say Lyle Odeline won.
That's fine, and we'll just retcon it. Who's going to be like, no, it's actually whatever. All 18 pixels on your TV from 1992 you were able to tell it? No, I'm not.
If you were alive and watching hockey at that time, please confirm for us that Lyle Odeline won.
Yeah, thank you. Super Rain and Ben Aquino got it right. I will give Scott Jensen partial credit. He got Lyle Odeline, who in this conversation is the only one that I really care about. So we'll move on to today's question. It is Patrick Waugh themed. We're in that mode. 30 years ago on Tuesday, Patrick Waugh played his last game for the Montreal Canadiens. He was left in net for 9 goals against the Detroit Red Wings. Which future Hab scored against Waugh in that game? And then on Pat Jablonski, who came in relief. So a future Montreal Canadian helped end this legend Montreal Canadiens time with the Habs. Who was it? Who scored against Patrick Waugh in that game and then against Pat Jablonski and then became a Montreal Canadian later on? If you have the answer, put it in the comments down below this video. Let us know any way you know how, and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode of the show. And that is going to do it for us today on this episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for tuning in, for subscribing wherever you get your podcasts, and for making us at Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. I still love saying it. You can find the show Locked On Canadiens just about everywhere we're posting things. Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok primarily. For your second listen, go check out the Locked On NHL podcast. NHL Game Night every night. They're recapping every game, providing their thoughts, getting local thoughts from the guys who cover those teams for Locked On. So go subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Active Stick. Thank you for tuning in. And we will see you tomorrow, hopefully after a better effort against the Winnipeg Jets.